Hello and welcome back to the season review. Not back, but hello and welcome to the season review of Higurashi no Nakukara ni or Higurashi when they cry. So I don't have a very clear format for this episode, or this video rather, so I'll just be talking. I have a Wikipedia page open with the list of the episodes because I want to recap every arc overall and tell about my feelings about them in general. So okay, so first off, I'll talk about like my overall feelings of the series. It's a freaking messed up series, but I find it very enjoyable. Well, enjoyable is kind of a bad word for it, but rather it's very engaging. Let's go. Yeah, let's go with engaging. It's very interesting to follow, and it's very mysterious. The mystery in this series is so well done. It's so intriguing. Like it is almost the sole thing that has kept me going on throughout the series. Like that, or has pushed me through the series is that the mystery in the series is so damn well done, and it's just very interesting to see. Like it's just a mystery. So you want to see more, and you want to see how it turns out, and whether you were right or not. Majority of the cases, I was not. Like they have had me convinced numerous times already that there are just supernatural things going on. And so far, I've been proven wrong in many occasions, and they are just it's framed so well that you really do mistake some certain parts of the mystery to be just supernatural influences. But so far, those have been explained. Many of those have been explained very reasonably. I believe we've had like one question arc so far, and it's a very strange strange thing to say because there have been many of these arcs throughout the series or the first season that feel like they are answering questions, but they are not considered answer arcs because they do not answer any one particular arc, should I say. But it's very interesting. So the mystery part of the series is one of its greatest draws. Then there are, of course, many other things. But first, let's talk about the bad things. Because there is one very, very big bad thing. And that's okay, maybe two, but like, that depends on how you consider it. And that is that the animation is just blatantly bad. It's really bad. Throughout majority of the series, it's sloppy and not very detailed and not very precise, and it's not very well animated. However, that kind of adds to the horror of the show, which I do very much enjoy. It's certainly a interesting thing because it looks really bad, all things considered. I mean, the drawing style is pretty okay, even though some of the characters are kind of strange looking, and they don't look like real humans, at least majority of them. But the animation is really so bad that it almost adds to the weirdness of the story. And when things get serious, well, we've all seen the Higurashi face. And that is certainly a one very incredible thing that I very much enjoy. It's it's a very cool contrast to the normal bad animation that when stuff gets real, it's actually well animated. And it's pretty strange how that contrast between good animation and bad animation adds to the whole overall feel of the story, in my opinion. Then let's talk about the characters, and oh boy, they range from simplistically stupid to actual psychopaths, and then there are just some. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's first off say that the characters are rather simplistic, at least in my opinion. They don't feel like they have a lot of depth to them, even though they have a lot of background. Their characters are not very how should I say this? They are not that interesting by themselves. They are not interesting character archetypes that I would like to follow for a long time. But it's not their personality that defines them, it's their actions more so. And that's very, very interesting. Like, the people, everybody's background is very interesting and it plays a huge part. But the characters themselves are not that interesting. Like, the most interesting one is Rika, and that's because she's freaking possessed. Possibly. Or she could be basically the player of the game. Or whatever. I'm not so sure about anything. If you saw the season finale, we got to see that Rika is basically knows that this is a loop. Which is really strange to consider. And it kind of makes sense considering what happened in one of the arcs where she just predicted the future. It's very interesting how the characters are at the same time boring and really unappealing to follow, and at the same time they are one of its biggest strengths because everybody has had something bad happen to them or has something bad happen to them currently. It's very interesting. Then the story itself. Well, it's a mystery. It's the main strength of the story is that it's made in loops, and these loops are not separate from each other. They share very many similarities between each of them, and they basically all are part of the same whole. And the best thing about them is that they very much build upon the story so that they complement each other very well, and you can sort of start to build up the whole picture from seeing every arc and just taking little pieces from here and there, and they add to the previous arcs retroactively. Like the last arc of the season was amazing. It added so much to the previous arcs, like the clawing at the throat thing. That became very important because that means that you've been infected by the parasites. And that's a very common way for people to die in this series. That they are infected with the parasites and they claw their throats out. And they die from that. And that makes... It explains how they die. It's very interesting. I very much like that. So, one of the bad things actually is that this is definitely a very... It's definitely a show that's not meant for everybody. Like, I wouldn't say like what age you should be or shouldn't be to watch a show, but let's just say that it has so many triggering elements. It's horror at its finest, and it's really scary without showing. Like, we don't get to see much of gore, but it's implied, and it's implied perfectly. It's very hard to see, hard to like watch it, because it's actually really, really well presented so that it's painful to follow, and it's so amazing. I very much enjoyed that part. But at the same time, it's hard to enjoy the show because it's very fucked up. Oh, sorry, I'm swearing. It's really messed up. But that's also one of the strengths. It's kind of hard to say. It's very interesting. But yeah, it's a very exclusive show that not everybody should watch, because it has some very unbearable elements, and I was not prepared for them personally, and I have had to take pauses in between episodes quite a few times, and not so small pauses as well. But yeah, there are some elements that are just very disturbing, so it's very hard to watch through. I mean, at least I haven't had to censor anything, because violence is fine in the internet, but no tits on YouTube, you know. We can't have any explicit content here. Freaking silly, like, guidelines, even though it's understandable. I'll go over the arcs now in detail, so bear with me as I have to go through the episodes. So the first arc was comprised of four episodes, and this was the one where Geichi find out that he was being they tried to kill him, or he was being targeted, and yeah, he was being targeted, and Rena and Neon are very huge suspects of it, and at the very culmination of it, Rena and Neon actually attack Gage and inject him with a syringe, and Gage kills them and calls Oishi, the police guy, and the police of course won't believe him, and Gage has clawed his throat out. It's interesting. So this was a very good. Oh right, I forgot to speak about the. Okay, so yeah, the main strength of the series is very well portrayed in this very much first arc, because the first 3 episodes are very intriguing, but nothing really happens. We get to see a lot of implications and a lot of interesting stuff, and it builds the world up so well, and it portrays one of the best things about the show, and that it has amazing pacing. The pacing of the show is definitely its biggest strength. It knows how to build an atmosphere, and when the tension is right, it releases it like that. And that just, when it happens, it's so unbelievably exciting when actually something happens, even though you've been sitting at the edge of your seat waiting for it to happen. And when that happens, it's actually a very good climax, and it's so interesting to when it happens, because it's just whatever. I'm just rambling on. The pacing of the show is perfect, and this episode really well presented it. I mean, I'm fairly certain that the last arc, it was not an answer to this one, or this first arc. And this first arc, I did like it, because now we know that Keiichi, from knowledge we gained in the future, we know that Keiichi was infected by the parasite, so technically speaking, Oyashiro, or what the parasite was called, had affected him. And I still do not know why, like, Mion and Rena attacked him. I'm waiting to see the answer arc for that, because it was very intriguing, and it was very cool. I really do like this arc, because well, it shows the pacing at its finest. It's so cool, but it's very. I have no idea what I want to make some predictions about this arc, but unfortunately, though, I have no clue why they would have attacked. I mean, Cage clawed out his throat because of Oyashiro, and it could be that we were seeing Cage's hallucinations, and he was just going crazy because of the parasites, because that happened to Rena at the last arc. So it's very unclear what happened. I'm putting my money on that we saw Cage's like hallucinations, and Rena and Mion did not actually attack him, but that could be just me going crazy. I have no idea. That's just if I have to bet something. Then the second chapter, Cotton Drifting. So this is the chapter we have already gotten the answer arc to, and that was very unfortunate. Like, this was the arc where we meet Shion, and we get a lot of build up to like the bad or the dark undertone of the city, or the town rather, and how horrible things are happening there and happened in the past. And we get to see of like Mion and Shion's family, how that's messed up, and how the 3 village elders are, or how the 3 big village families control the city completely. Yeah, and this in the end, Mion, who we later have learned is Shion, we have learned that well, it was really fucked up, and she was the one who did majority of the evil things, like tortured lots of people and killed lots of people, and it was quite horrifying. This was an amazing episode, because not only did we get to see another character, we also got to see a lot of horrible things, and we got more background story for the of the village. I unfortunately now have watched what it was in this season, the answer arc of this like this arc, and because of that I know what happened. I did not know. I had no idea what happened. I just honestly thought that Mion was possessed. That's the only idea I had. So, well, it proved to be wrong. It seems like Shion was the bad guy. Who would have guessed? It's very interesting. And the ending scene where Mion appears and kills Keiichi, I think that's just a hallucination, and that's not true. Actually, I can't remember if that's true. I can't remember the end of that other arc. But yeah, this was a very good arc, in my opinion, the second one. Then the third arc is a 5-part arc. Well, surprise, it actually got longer. And this is the one where we get more info about Satoshi and Satoko. And we get to learn of like the abuse of Satoko. Yeah, this was the arc. And Keiichi is trying to help Satoko with that, and eventually ends up murdering the uncle who's been abusing him. It was, and in the end, like, Satoko pushes Keiichi off the bridge. Keiichi survives, but while he's falling, he wishes for everybody to die. And there happens a gas leak and everybody dies. So, again, we're waiting for something, because the Satoko's uncle did not actually die. It might be actually just that Keiichi is freaking crazy. That's what happens here. I think we're just seeing Keiichi's hallucinations again, and he's been infected by the parasites. At least that's the only logical explanation I have. I have no idea what else could be happening. It's a very cool arc, but unfortunately for me, it was a very triggering one. It was very hard for me to follow. At least on certain parts I had to take a pause. It was really awfully painful for me to see this, because it has child abuse, and that's a trigger word for me. So, but I really like that. I again have no idea. I want to do more of predictions, but unfortunately it's so well done that I have no idea. And I'm certain there were clues. I just missed them. There are some, of course, there are some minor clues everywhere hidden, but yeah, as I said, I have missed them. Then, the fourth arc from episodes, is this fourth arc? Yeah, this is the fourth arc. Episode from, it's a 2-part episode, from 14 and 15. And this is, what was this? This arc was, I can't remember. I honestly can't remember this arc. Yeah, I have no idea. Oh right, actually, this was the arc where the Rika was talking to that young investigator. Sorry for the little pause there. I hope I should have actually paused that to read this thing. Whatever, sorry. But this will be just a live vlog, so I won't be editing this more than just checking out for audio. So yeah, this was the arc where we got to see that young investigator talking to Rika, and we got to see how Rika is very well possessed and knows about the future, or knows what will happen. And this was also, there was hinted at the murdering of Rika, and well, that happened. So it happened in the previous arc too. I didn't talk about that. It was rather disturbing to see her abdominal organs removed, and here it's hinted again. So that was really a very gory scene, and we haven't seen that anything that gory often. So this was an interesting arc because it was shorter, and it was a lot easier to follow because it had mostly just background info and side story info. It was kind of cool, but it didn't answer anything in my opinion. I did not very much learn anything from it, but it was kind of nice to follow something that wasn't so messed up for once. And then the fifth arc, which is again like, was this 5 parts? No, this was 6 parts. And this was from the episode 16 to episode 21. So this was the answer arc of where we get to learn that in that other arc, was that second or third arc, Shion was actually Mion in that arc, and here we are very well. It's a longer arc than the normal arcs have been, and it answers so many questions, and everything starts to make sense. And it's very interesting to see the events from different perspective where we already know a bit more. So it's very interesting to see. This answer arc was so satisfying. I was so happy with this arc. I won't be going into too much detail here because basically we just learned that Shion was responsible for the whole thing, and she murdered everyone. It was quite honestly terrifying to see that. It was very hard to watch an actual psychopath in their work. At least I hope normal people have that reaction. It was cool. I liked this first answer arc we got so much. It was so good. And I hope the future answer arcs will be as good. So yeah, I was really happy with that. It was an answer arc, so there's no predictions needed to be made here. Then the last arc was the Rena arc, where we got to see more of Rena, and well, we got to see Rena go freaking crazy and kill a lot of people, and her friends helped her with the murder or hiding the bodies, and she went totally crazy. She found out like everybody wanted her to get to her, and it was just, this was the last arc, so this is probably the best one in my mind. And if you followed the playlist closely or watch the episodes in order, you should be able to remember this as well. So I will be just talking about it in general. I did enjoy it. It was a very cool arc, and we got to see, it was so interesting to see, it focused on Rena, and that's something I very much enjoyed because we haven't seen a lot of Rena yet. And here we also got a lot more explanation of everything, basically. We got a lot of answers in a question arc, basically. At least I think it's a question arc. Like, we got to see that parallel universes exist and the people inside them affect each other, so they might have overlapped at some point. That would make sense. That'd be amazingly implausible to believe, but it would make sense, and that's interesting. It's a very interesting possibility, and I very much enjoyed that. And we also got to see like how I'm very intrigued about Rika. So because of what she said at the end, like she knows it's an infinite loop, and I very much enjoy that kind of build up as well. It makes the going into the second arc very cool. And of course we got to see the parasite thing. Oh my god. It reveals what the curse of Oyashiro is, basically. So basically it is an answer, but it has probably more questions. Or maybe this is just something else. I don't know. I very much enjoyed this though. It gave so much answers. It was definitely one of my favorite arcs because it just answered so many questions. I did like it so much. Okay, I think that's all of the arcs. So I'll just give you my overall opinion about the series. It's amazing. It's just blatantly amazing. It's definitely one of my favorite series because it has a very well done mystery, and you don't see that quite often, and I so much like that. I would like to recommend everybody to at least try it, but the tension is unbearable. At least it was for me. So I can't relate whether you should watch the series or not, but I would recommend that you try it at least. If it gets unbearable, stop it, because you cannot honestly handle what comes later. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite series, and I very much enjoyed it. And it's been really great fun. And even though there are some bad parts, and even though it's very obscure what has happened, and the mysteries honestly are a bit too hard to solve, it's still amazing. It's so great. So, after that, thank you all for watching. This was a very rambling vlog, but I hope you enjoyed it, because this is what I enjoy doing. Yeah, it was very amazing. Like, please don't spoil anything. I'm going to start the second season very soon, so keep looking for that. So, without further ado, I thank you all very much for watching, especially since I rambled most of this vlog. It's been really fun. It's kind of fun. It's really fun to just talk about the series in length. So yeah, it's been great. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Gunmu out.